Do y'all have questions from yesterday? Or do you want me to go straight into the negatives, positives?
Go straight in.
Straight into negatives, positives, and then we can answer the fraction questions if you have some. Okay?
Okay.
So, what I want you to know, well, good gosh. Okay. Negatives versus positives. Okay?
Mhm.
We're going to do negatives and positives. Now, the first thing I need you to know, I need you to pay close attention. There are rules for add and subtract, and there are rules for multiply and divide. They're totally and completely different. Totally and completely different. So we're going to do the add and subtract today. If we get to the multiply and divide, we will, but I need you to know in your mind that when we switch over, the rules are going to be completely different for multiply and divide. I think one of the things that I've seen former students have trouble with is negatives gives you a positive.
Yeah.
So anytime they see negative gives you a positive. Well, yes, here, not here. Okay, they're two different rules, so you'll have to wrap your mind around that one. Okay? Okay, let's talk about negatives and positives here. We're just going to do the add and subtract right now. When you're adding and subtracting, there's several different ways that you can do this. And just like I taught both classes last night, let me see. Yeah, just like I talked to you guys about yesterday, I said you can either multiply fractions across and then reduce or simplify, or you can cross cancel. And neither one of those is right or wrong. It's what you feel comfortable doing, okay? The same thing today. On the add and subtract, there's several different ways you can think about it. And I'm going to show you all of the ways. And then you pick what you want. Or use one this time and this one's another time, whatever. Now what we're going to do is start with a number line. I think most people are familiar with the number line, and you can use it to add and subtract negatives and positives. I like to have a place mark, you know, that's 0. Okay, on this side are positives, and this is a positive direction on the number line. Going to the left are the negatives. The left of 0 are negatives. This is also a negative direction that you go on the number line. Okay, let's do this. Okay, 1, 2. -1. Better go little. -2. 3. This is a normal number line. Now, let's do a particular problem already. And I'm going to show you with a really easy problem so that you know how to use the number line. The problem 5 plus 2. Okay? This, right, it's going to be a positive 7. But what I'm going to do is show you how we use the number line to find that. And then this will help us with the negatives. Okay? So you're going to go to this place on the number line. So we're going to go to 5. And then it says to go in a positive direction. So we're going to go in a positive direction 2 places. 1, 2. And so your answer is 7. Do you see? And I used a very easy problem to show you how we're going to do this. Now let's look at something with a negative in it. Mary, are you okay? I don't know how well you can see the board.
I'm fine. I see it. I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's fine. She can
Okay.
see it.
Now, what if you did this? Negative 5 plus 2. We're going to follow the same example. And so the first number, we find that on the number line. Right here. And then it says to go in a positive direction. 2 places. 1, 2. And so our answer here would be a negative 3. You see how the number line works? Let's do another one. Let's do negative 2 minus 3. These are the ones that usually mess people up, right? When they put too many negatives and they don't make sense. But let's use what we just found out. Start at the negative 2. Now we're going to go in a negative direction. 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And so your answer is negative 5. You see? Okay, let's do, remember to speak up, Mary. If I can't hear you, they can hear you, okay? I don't know why Linda is. Okay, so let's do 4 minus 6. 4 minus 6. Okay, now you might also see this as 4 plus, and then they say negative 6. Well, a plus and a negative together makes negative. Okay, so if you see those,
The sign that's bigger is going to be the positive or the negative. Depends on the number.
you are exactly, you're asking good questions. You mean down here?
Mhm.
Okay. First thing I want to do is talk about this one. The sign that goes with the number will always be to the left of the number. So we always have to look for the sign here. If there's no sign, it's a positive. And here, we use this sign. Now, in the problem, it's a minus, but it acts as the sign negative on the 6. Okay, so if you're just trying to find this sign, it's a negative 6. If you're looking at the problem itself, it's 4 minus 6. You see? But one of the things that confuses a lot of students is that a minus or is it a subtract? Mm-hmm. Well, if you use it like you're putting it in your calculator and you're putting the problem in, you'll put 4 minus 6. But if you just put this in your calculator, you would put negative 6. And you know in the calculator, there's a minus and there is a negative. Do you guys want to see your calculators right now so you can look at them? Or will this force you to do this on your own right now?
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Let's force you. Okay, do you guys understand that it's minus, but it could be a negative sign on the 6? All right. And I don't know if I answered your question yet, but let me go ahead and you ask again. Thank you. I am sorry.
It's okay.
This is Rebecca. She was in my night class, but things have changed with her work schedule, so now she gets to come in the morning with us. Okay? This is Irene right here. This is Naomi right here. And this beautiful man right here, his name is Jesus. Okay? And I think you've seen the first part of this, Rebecca, so I'm going to go on. We're talking about the rules for negatives and positives today.
That's fine.
Okay.
The answer will be negative 2.
So what'd you say?
The answer will be negative 2.
You are exactly right. How did you get it? Using the number line. I don't want you to use anything else that you know yet. How did you do it? Using the number line.
Just count
Okay,
them back.
tell me what to do or come up and do it.
Just count them backwards. Start at 4 and then count
Oh,
backwards.
show her.
So backwards, is that what I'm supposed to do?
Go up there and show her.
Go, you know.
Come on, don't waste our time. Come on.
Did you?
All right.
Here you go,
No.
Jess. All right, explain to them
I
what you're
got
doing.
stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Start at number 4.
Uh-huh.
And from number 4, you go backwards to number 3 and then 2. Then start going to the negatives until you get to -2. You went back 6 times.
Because it was minus, right? So you went in the minus direction.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. You did a great job. Mhm.
That was good, Sissy.
It was good. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, now we're going to talk about this a little bit later with the multiply and divide. But what if they give you a question like this? And they say -3 minus a -5.
Oh.
Okay? This kind of crosses over into our multiply and divide with negatives and positives, but you need to see it now. After you get it written down, I'll tell you. Is it written down?
Hold on.
Okay. Whenever you have a minus and a minus, and there's nothing in between except this, I need to explain about the parentheses also. You know, and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally that you've always heard about, the P stands for parentheses, and you have to do the parentheses first. This parentheses is not what they're talking about. If there's anything in the parentheses, what they're doing is just trying to keep you from being confused or to isolate it so that you don't see this problem and you go, what is going on? They say you're going to minus a negative. So if there's only one thing in the parentheses, that's not the parentheses that counts on PEMDAS. Okay, everybody cool? Okay, so they just did this to call your attention to it. If there is a negative and a negative right next to each other, we can do what you call circle up, and those two negatives will make a positive. So now your problem is -3 plus 5, okay? Two negatives right next to each other can always circle up. And so we started our -3, and it says to go in a positive direction 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so your answer is going to be a +2. Is everybody okay with the number line?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to show you at least 2 other ways, depending on how you think. Okay? The next way is for the rule people. The people that just tell me the rule, and I'll memorize the rule, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay? So, here are the rules, and then we'll practice. Okay, if the signs are the same, add. If the signs are the same, add, and give the sign and give the answer.
Give the sign answer.
That sign. Mm-hmm.
You put 2D.
What did I do?
Give the
put
answer
the
that sign. Give,
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
Okay. Give.
Last night I was doing a problem and I subtracted completely wrong. So I'm glad that you guys speak up. Yes.
The sign are the same, add. Okay.
Okay, which means if I have negative plus a negative, both signs are the same. Let's just do one. Okay. Let's say
An example.
-3 plus 5. Okay. The signs are the same. It's a negative because this is a negative. Okay. And a negative. So the signs are the same. So you just add them.
And leave it the
3 and
same.
5 is an 8. And you give it the sign that you're working with.
Negative.
Easy enough, right? Now, you might see something like this, which is the very same rule. You might see -4 minus 2. Okay? But this is a -4, and this is a -2. So the signs are the same. You add. So we've got 6, and use the sign that we're working with. So the answer is a -6.
So even though if it doesn't have a plus sign, what if it's like that and it's not 6 and it's giving you a different number, like a subtraction? Can it turn into a subtraction like that without having the plus sign in the middle?
Yes. Like this, is that what you're
Like,
talking about?
yeah, the same way, like -4 and then -2.
Yes.
It can.
What you do is make your eyes isolate or put the box around it. Let's do this one. -15 minus 3. Okay? Negative. So if you look at it and put a box around this,
Mhm.
that's a negative, and this is a negative also. So you're putting those negatives together. And so it's 18,
Minus.
and they're negatives because both of them are negatives. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the same works for positive, but that's not something that you guys probably struggle with. If you have 2 plus 3, of course, this one is a positive. This one is a positive. So the signs are the same, right? The signs are the same, so it says to add. If the signs are the same, add. And give it the sign that you're working with. You can put a plus. They usually don't put a plus. Okay? If there's not a sign, then it's understood plus. You will not get anything wrong if you put the plus there. Okay? It is not wrong. But you won't see it that way on things that are printed out like your test. Okay? If there is no sign, it's going to be positive. Now, so you guys are okay with this, right? Okay. Let's do if the signs are different. Think, well, I say think subtract because sometimes, okay, subtract. So you're going to subtract, give the sign of the largest number. I'm seeing if it's all on the screen. Yeah. If the signs are different now, then we're going to think subtract, put the answer down, and then when you're deciding on the sign, just look at the two numbers and the one that looks the biggest, okay, the largest number, then you give it that sign. So let's do some examples. Pardon?
Oh,
I
she
thought
was
some-
just clearing her throat.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's do 3 plus a -5. Okay? They'll probably have parentheses. You know that we're dealing with a +3, and the plus and the minus makes a -5. Okay? If we're working, if the signs are different, we think subtract. So you can do 5 minus 2 if you want to in your head. 5 minus 3 is 2, right? And then you're deciding on your sign, and it's the largest looking number.
Minus.
So the 5 is the largest one. You're going to make it a -2. Do y'all see?
So different signs, and then whatever's higher, the number will be the sign.
The sign. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Let's do another one.
Do we have cream?
+2.
+2. You are exactly right. The signs are different. Here's a sign, here's a sign. They're different, so you think subtract, and the difference between these two is 2, and then give it the sign of the larger number. Okay? Okay, so do this one.
-5.
-5.
I knew you guys were going to do that because I was sneaky. Are the signs the same?
Yes.
Oh.
They're not different,
Oh, it's
are
9.
they? So it's 9,
Yeah,
and what's the sign?
Negative.
Use the sign that we're dealing with,
Oh, yeah, negative.
okay? And so if the signs are the same,
You
we're going to add them together and give it the sign we're working with. It will always be this in add and subtract.
Jesus, you didn't give me a right answer.
I was kind
Hey,
of
you said
scared,
first.
and I had put 9, but when I heard them, because I think Jesus knows it all, I was like, oh, I got it wrong.
Oh, no,
I got it wrong.
no.
I just took one look and then looked at
I'll do that every once in a while, just slip something in so you guys stay awake. Right, Jesus?
And I was about to erase it when Jesus said.
That's what I got too.
Okay, is everybody okay? If you're a rule person, here's the rules. If the signs are the same, if the signs are different. And this is for
You need
add
paper?
and, this is for add and subtract only.
What's your homework?
in the
We
bag.
need to keep this guy busy. Good heavens. Did you close last night?
Did you close the paper? Did you get clean?
For a
Your
minute.
coffee?
Yeah, I guess.
I almost came and got a hamburger from you last night.
Huh?
I almost did. Because I taught the night class also last night,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and I was hungry when I left.
And do you do that here, or do you do that like at home?
Well, last night was a special case because of kind of the mix-up, and the night people thought they were coming to a class and they didn't realize there wasn't a teacher, and so I was asked to come in.
Oh.
But they don't have a teacher, so they're gonna do all online until they get a teacher. So the night people are gonna be online. Rebecca was there last night, but she said,
You guys should just grab a handful.
Yeah, please.
what are we doing?
Cream for the coffee, there's no cream.
Did I take it? Oh,
Is there?
there's some downstairs. Oh, wait a minute. No, we did have creamer.
I'm gonna get the cream.
Okay, you gotta hurry. I'm getting ready to teach some more.
Okay.
They're making some coffee. Rebecca, do you want some coffee?
Sure. Yeah, when they get the creamer. I like a little coffee with the creamer.
I hope they have some down there. I didn't come prepared for coffee today, but I can do that. You guys bring the creamer you like, and they will keep, if it's refrigerated, they'll keep it down in the refrigerator. I bring the powder. And I think I'm gonna go out and get a Keurig, a little Keurig. So just bring your
So
pods.
is it an individual, or is the pods?
Yeah, the little cups.
Okay.
This one isn't. I bought a cheap one last year, but then somebody has to make it all the time, and then I have to clean it up, and somebody didn't clean it up. And Irene said the filter was in it from spring break.
Oh
So
my God, it was.
From when we were in here?
Yeah, when we were here
my
the
God.
last time.
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna help Jesus.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's so smart. He's so
Okay, now this one works really well for people who like to be able to see things and touch things and move them around, the kinesthetic learners. And this is what I use for the high school sometime to show them. I have these little discs. They're just thin little pieces of plastic around. And one side is a dark side and one side is a light side. Now the dark side I always think about cowboys and Indians, you know, and the bad cowboy always has a black hat, you know. And so the dark side is going to be the negatives. And the light side, the guy with the white hat, you know, the hero, it's going to be positive. Okay, so this is what I do. I explain to them on their discs. Now theirs are usually red and yellow, but I'm using a marker, so they're going to be black and white. So the black ones or the dark ones are the negatives. So this would be -1, okay? And the light ones are positives, okay? Now, I tell them the only other thing that you have to do, or you have to know to do these problems, is you need to understand what a zero pair is. Zero pair. A zero pair means if you have one negative that matches one positive, that equals 0.
Say it again. It means what?
One negative.
Just a negative and you add a positive to it, they cancel each other out and they equal 0, okay? And so they actually disappear. And I'll show you how it works here in just a minute. But a zero pair means that you have a negative and a positive that match, and those equal 0, and so they disappear, okay? Okay, now, I'll show you how we use these. This is how I introduced it to them. I gave them a pile of those little discs. And I said, we're going to do this problem, -5 plus 2. And I tell them, okay, I want you to take those discs that you have on your desk, and I want you to pull out the discs and the color that represent a -5, okay? And so on their desk, they take the dark side and they put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
I got the cream for the fanatics.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jesus, for your,
We're going to go ahead and do this, and when we start the homework, you guys can do your
cream,
coffee. Is that all right? All right.
appreciate
And
it.
then I tell them, this is what I've done so far. Jesus, you'll catch up, okay? And then I tell them, I want you to put on your desk the discs that represent +2. And so they will put the light side, and they will put two of them on their desk, okay? And then I tell them, before we can find the answer, you have to take out all your 0 pairs. So what we're going to do is match. We have a negative and a positive right there. We have a negative and a positive right there. Now, we don't have any more matches, right? We don't have any more positives that we can put with negatives. And so our answer is right here with the discs that are left. Our answer is a 3, and they're dark. So it's a -3. Y'all see?
Mhm.
Now, as I did some more practice problems, I would tell them, let's line these up because it's going to make it easier for you to figure this out. And you'll get to the point where you don't have to draw pictures or you don't have to have a disc anymore. So let's try this. I said, it's okay if you laid them on your desk like that, but you had to look around for 0 pairs. So let's do this one. Let's say -2 plus 9, okay? -2 plus 9. So, of course, they're going to put on their desk 2 negatives. 1, 2. Now, this time I tell them to put them in a line. And then they're going to put on their desk +9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, already, can you see that you've got more positives? You've got more positives, and that's what's going to be left on your desk, right? Let's take the 0 pairs out. there, and there. See how much easier it is to take your zero pairs out, and you can automatically see it's going to be positive because there's more positives than there are negatives, okay? And so they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 of them, and they are positives, okay? You see? Let's do this one. Because you know I'm always getting ready to throw a punch at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try this one. Okay? So you're going to put on your desk this, right?
-7.
Negative what?
7.
Yes. How did you do it?
How you do that?
Just add and then put the sign.
So you used the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm showing you different ways to use the positives and negatives. Okay, so -3 there. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you notice that we don't have any positives at all to cancel out? So you don't cancel anything. You have to have positives to go with the negatives. So what's left on your desk? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're all black or dark, okay?
So negative.
So far, you've learned 3 different ways to find out what the answer is to a negative and positive addition or subtraction problem. You found out that you could use the number line. You can think about that in your head. Or you can just use the rule. If the signs are the same, you add and use that sign. If the signs are different, subtract and use the bigger sign. Yes? Okay. Now let's try one of these one more time. Here you go. Is it strong, Irene?
Yeah.
Okay, now, my guess is that you don't want to draw 35
35
blacks and you do not want to do 40 positives, right? Light ones. But in your head, can you see the string of 35 blacks
+5.
and the string of 40 whites? Which one's more?
The 40.
It's the positives, right?
Mhm.
There's more positives sticking out here. So we know our answer is going to be positive. And when I crossed out all of these, how many was left?
5.
There were 5. Can you see it in your head? It kind of begins. Now, there is nothing wrong with on the homework that we're going to do is draw the discs, draw the disc, draw the disc. And that starts to plant it in your head if you like the discs.
Yeah.
Okay, you can try using the different kinds of rules that I gave you. Okay, you can use the number line, you can use the rule in your head, or you can use the discs, whatever you want to. But this is a good way for you to kind of untangle what you've been taught all your life about negatives and positives, and they're just all over the place, and I just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, now remember, what I taught you today is only add and subtract. I think I'm going to, let's see, what time is it really? That's
9:21.
9:21.
okay, so we've been going about 30 minutes. Would you like to see the rules for multiply and divide? Do you think you can keep them separated in your head?
Yeah.
Guess what? The multiply and divide, so much easier. Don't forget the rules here. And remember that the multiply and divide is completely different. Okay. So even get another page, whatever you're doing in your notes, just so you can separate the two. Here we go, negatives and positives for multiply and divide. I have a rule. Rule, people, here's the rule. if there are an even number of negatives, if you look all the way through your problem and there are 4 negatives that are showing up in your multiply problem, if there are 4 negatives, you know automatically your answer is positive. You don't have to think. And I suggest you write down the answer first. Then you just do your normal multiplication. If you had a problem, you just go across the problem, count all your negatives. If there are 3, your answer is going to be negative. Period. It's a done deal.
So even and odds is just positive.
No,
Or no?
even here, let's do some examples
Okay.
now. If you have the rules written down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just do one. Let's say -3 times -2 times -1. Okay? You see this problem, it's a multiply problem, so you know we're going to use those rules. You count the number of negatives. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 negatives. That's an odd number, right? So the answer is going to be negative. Now you just multiply.
-6.
Negative 6. You just count the negatives.
Okay, 3, 4, 6.
1, 2, 3 negatives in the problem. And if odd numbers are like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9.
So you're just adding?
Yeah, you just count the negatives, and then after you know what your sign is going to be, then you actually do the multiplication, which is 3 times 2 is 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? You do the actual multiplication normally. But to figure out the signs, you just count the signs. If
Got
it's
it.
odd, it's a negative
It's a
number.
negative.
If it's
Okay.
even, it's a
It's a
positive.
positive. Got it.
So let's do this one. What if they do
How many
Answer's
ones?
still 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's +1.
There it is. Since it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives, that's an even number, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know the answer is going to be a positive answer, and then you just multiply 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times.
+1.
Now this works the same way with divide.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a chance that they can put a, no, there's not.
I'm glad I could answer that.
What was I gonna say? They
Could-
can't. A positive and a negative. Let's say they do a positive and a negative
Okay.
in one problem.
Okay.
Do you understand? Maybe?
Yes, I do. They may do that, or that you may see it with parentheses. You may
Okay.
see it both ways, okay? Just depends on who's typing it.
Okay.
So how many negatives?
2.
There's only one.
Oh.
We
Oh, I
don't,
mean
we
one.
don't count the value of it. We just say, I see 1 negative.
One.
That's odd, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the answer is going to be negative. Now, just multiply the numbers.
10.
10.
Okay.
Now, this works the same way with divide. What if I have -25 divided by 5? Remember that this fraction sign means divide. Okay.
-25.
So this is a multiply or divide problem, right? Count the negatives. How many negatives?
5.
1. So what's the answer? What's the answer sign going to be?
Negative.
Negative, because there's only 1 negative in the problem. And now 25 divided by 5.
5.
5.
The division and multiply, I don't think you have a problem with. What we're talking about today is the signs and how to keep those straight and know what to do.
So every time they have either a negative like that,
Mhm.
and it's only one, it's going to be one.
Then it's going to be negative.
Okay.
Mhm. Now, you're going to see this, and I've had students, they just get really mixed up. And, sometimes, I know people learn, but sometimes I think, why are you getting mixed up on this one? Okay. You know how I told you the other day, we never divide fractions?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we never, ever leave a fraction with two negatives, ever, ever. This is not completely done, okay? Because you have two negatives, and you can't have two negatives in a fraction. But if we have two negatives, what's the answer going to be? This is a divide.
Positive 5.
It's going to be a positive because the two cancel out. We have two negatives, that makes it a positive answer. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. Does it work?
Mm-hmm.
You ready to practice some? Mary, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Are you kind of understanding what we're doing?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, when I print out the pages for them to work on, I will
Yes.
send them to your email if you want to practice.
Yes, please.
Okay, it'll take me about 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
What do y'all think? Are we done with the lesson and ready to get started on our homework?
I think so.
We're not going to take a 30-minute break?
I didn't take 30 minutes. I took,
No, it's 45.
Mm-hmm.
no,
I
it
have
was
witnesses.
12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to
Okay,
be.
anything else, Irene? Do you want to talk to Mary or anything? Because we're going to turn off the recording and we're going to turn off.
Bye, Mary. Échale ganas.
Bye.
Cuídate
Thank
mucho.
you. Gracias.
Have a good one.
¿Te recuerdas de
Thank
mí?
you. Sí. Hola.
Hola.
Y'all going to
¿No piensas en venir en persona?
Sí, nomás que me componga, ando un poco enferma.
Ah, ok.
Sí, la semana que entra voy a ir el martes.
Ah, está
Voy a ir
bien.
voy a ir con Josie a llenar unos papeles.
Oh, qué bueno. Sí, échale ganas. Esta maestra
Sí.
sí me gusta cómo enseña.
Sí, ella sí nos va a enseñar.
Sí. Y aquí vamos a
Sí.
salir con ella.
Ojalá.
Bueno,
gracias.
que la pases
Bye.
bien. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Bye,
Deborah.
Miss Mary.
Bye. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
So it recorded all